Well, welcome everybody. Glad to have you join us today for our Affinity webinar with Dataforma. Glad to see everybody join us today. I'd like to take a minute to introduce myself. I'm John Kennedy with Cotney Consulting of Cotney Law Attorneys and Consulting Group. Happy to be here today. Just give you a quick little brief on me, 45 years in the industry, and still looking forward to introducing my guest here, Brian. Brian, how you doing today?
Good morning, John. Pretty good. Thanks.
All right, so just catch up here, and I apologize to all of our audience. We had a little bit of technical difficulty today. That's why this one's coming off a little rougher than normal, but we're back on track. So my apologies. So here at Cotney, we're a full-service legal and consulting firm servicing the needs of residential and commercial construction infrastructure clients throughout the U.S. and Canada, and also internationally. A lot of people don't know we're over on South Africa with our operations as well. So Brian, you want to tell us a little bit about Dataforma, please?
Yeah, so Dataforma is a software designed specifically for the roofing industry. We were actually working as a commercial roofing contractor when we came up with this. And I say we, I know I'm young. I was probably 19 when Dataforma was created, but I've been involved pretty much right out of college because I worked at the roofing contracting company where it came from. And we had the classic issues of trying to track bids and CRM and service work. We tried every program that existed. You know, we looked at Salesforce and the dollar figures were huge. We customized accounting packages, but they never quite delivered what we had asked them to. So then the vice president of that roofing company came up with Dataforma. So that's why we struggled with how to describe it, but the all-in-one business management, we're saying it's the most inclusive system from bid tracking, service management, CRM, and designed just for the roofing industry. So that's how we describe Dataforma, an all-in-one platform as much as it can be for roofing contractors.
Yeah, great description. And I know you have a lot of clients out there that are using your product. So, and you've been around a long time, so that says a lot right there. So some of the things that we're going to cover today, Brian, we're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about multiple softwares, productivity, collaboration, and data. So, you know, these are really hot topics in the industry that everybody is trying to learn more about, trying to get them into their companies and be the most efficient that they can with them. So some of the things I want to ask you a question here today with your expertise in your product is, you know, what is the importance of a CRM? And how should the roofers and the HVAC and all the industries that use the product, how should they in the construction industry be using the CRM? And what's the difference between, you know, residential and commercial?
Yeah, and this is an interesting one actually, because whenever a contractor gets in touch with us and they say they're looking for a CRM, we kind of have to help them like define, well, what do you mean by CRM, right? Are you looking to track leads? Are you looking just to track contacts? Are you looking to manage your service work? So it can mean a lot of different things to contractors. And the big one that you have there on number 2 is commercial versus residential. Because this is what we found with a lot of systems. They really lack the ability. If I'm a commercial contractor, right, I may work on 75 facilities for the same client. Well, I don't only want to look up that client. I need the ability to type up an address and see all the bid activity on that address. Every time we've been there for a service call, have we installed a roof system or a mechanical unit? And what work have we done in that roof system or unit? What warranties are tied to that? And that's something, there's a million residential, generic CRM systems now, but there's not very many that can handle the commercial and the residential aspect. Because in Dataforma, we can look up, a homeowner and just see their address, or I can look up Hilton hotels and then all the different addresses we work on for them and what work has been done there. So that's the unique things you have to look for if you're residential versus commercial, because these systems are designed differently and there are very few that can handle both sides of the industry.
Absolutely, and I think CRM's kind of become a buzzword, customer relationship management, and I don't think it's really used to the fullest extent, or a lot of people even understand it. I know always found it confusing. So what size company should you be to have a need for using a CRM? what would be your recommendations? Where would be a good part where you know you've got to get off the old ways and onto something better?
Yeah, and this is something we learned just from experience at Dataforma. So usually if you're over 1 million in revenue per year, you start to have a big enough staff. So it's somewhere between 1 and 2, we know. After 2, you definitely want to start looking to upgrade. But between 1 and 2, because you're building more staff. So now I can't juggle as many balls where we used to all be able to keep track of these things in our head or on an Excel sheet, right? And
Right.
then a big key indicator we'll have too, John, is you'll have a full-time admin person, right? That person is answering the phones, tracking these items, because you're big enough now that it's not just me and John running around with our contracting business. We each answer all of our own calls all day, right? When we know, hey, we need somebody running the office for us full time, that is when we tell contractors, if you don't have that, you want to wait a little bit for us because you won't be able to handle it. But when you hit that point, that is when we've seen Dataforma. I think we've kept somewhere between 8.5 to 9 of 10 of our clients over the years. So we have an incredibly high retention rate, and I think that is a big key reason.
Yeah, no, I agree exactly what you're saying. And I think another aspect is, as a contractor, you've hit the sweet zone with a CRM when you're able to have anyone in your organization touching that client and be able to have that information in front of them. And that's really what we're getting into next, especially with the work orders and, what is the process of that and how would that be managed? So, take that from the aspect that you're dealing with customer service. You're going to want anyone. I mean, I know from my end being on the other side of it, Brian, I'd want anyone in my company that has to touch that client to have all the information in front of them to be able to service them at the highest level. Is that how this is designed into work?
Yeah, exactly. So whenever I'm doing a demo, I tell that contractor, pretend I moved from where I live and I work for you, and it's my first day. Well, if that client gives me their address within 5 seconds of being on the phone, they think that I've worked at your contracting company forever, because I can tell them what unit or roof is installed, right? I can tell them the warranty info, all of the pictures from the last time we were out there. I know if they've paid us or not, because again, I'm not processing work orders in one system. This is the old school way, and then creating invoices in another system. So I know it's like, hey, by the way, just so you know, you have a problem and you're probably more inclined to pay me quickly. You haven't paid us in the past 2 times we were out there. So, I mean, and the clients love it because, great, this person sounds like they really know my building. They know everything about this.
Yeah, excellent. And I want to touch on one other thing, allow you to touch on that too, because I know it gets lost a lot in the translation and what's going on with CRMs and systems as yourself and what you're doing data for them. But you also service the operational side of the company extremely well. You want to touch base on the advantages and how that could work.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, because we try to tell our clients too about all the new functionality we have. I mean, now we have 12 full-time programmers, so we're pumping out a lot of functionality, right? So, but we're not always the best at telling our clients. So I know some of our clients are listening. All of your labor tracking, so clocking in and clocking out of jobs, like no more paper timesheets, right? And that's tied. The next point you have, it's tied to our GPS tracker, which is free for our clients. We don't even charge for it. So we're dropping pins of where your staff are logging in and logging out of jobs, so you know whether or not they were there. Daily field reports in Dataforma. So if I'm a project manager, I know exactly what was done on job each day. And then all the way down to the beginning of the process, just tracking bids. I mean, this is one of the reasons we created Dataforma. The president of our company, every Thursday during our staff meeting, he would flip out because the estimators wouldn't update his Excel sheet. So we'd start going through an Excel sheet, and then Scott would be like, well, actually, we didn't get that one. He's like, well, why didn't you update my Excel sheet? That's what this meeting is. So Dataforma, the bids are tracked in real time. So if I'm an owner of a company or a production manager, I know the status of every production job. So all the way through bidding to capturing hours and tracking the progress of jobs.
Yeah, you brought up an excellent point on the data, getting it into the system. And that's what's nice about having a system like Dataforma to capture all that. Because I know if I was running a sales meeting, I don't want to talk about why we didn't have the information in there. I want to be able to review that ahead of time so we have a chance to drill down. know what's in the pipeline, not waste time with something that's, maybe didn't get bid because it didn't come out. And on the operational side too, when you do your weekly operation meetings, you want to have this information at your fingertips as whoever's running the operations to be able to work with your, your production leaders and that, be able to drill down on what's going on and have that information there. And also from the operational side, it's nice to have this pipeline that you just talked about with the bidding in there, because if I'm an operations manager, I want to know what's coming before I all of a sudden get a phone call or a text or an email from my sales team say, hey, this job's, we got it. We start next Friday. Now, I'd love to have that opportunity to see it come through the sales cycle. And I think, and I know you allow that very well process to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one other thing here, we have a GPS tracking, so that's kind of an interesting feature. I'm not sure if a lot of people know how to utilize that to its full extent. So, give us a minute here how that works and the importance of it.
Yeah. And so I mentioned, for when we're capturing labor, but the original intent was on the service side. If my technicians are telling me they had 4 hours on this service call, so one, we want to verify ourselves, right, as the contractor, that they had 4 hours. So Dataforma automatically shows that user exactly when your staff got to that site and left that site. So it's easy to verify hours. If I get an emergency call, I can click one button in Dataforma and see where all of my service technicians are. Oh, great, John's the closest. I'm going to call him and send him over to this emergency call right now. And then even if, it happens, your client tries to say, hey, we don't really think you were here for 4 hours. Well, we keep that data for a full year for our clients. So we can go back historically even and say, hey, here's the GPS data of when our guys, our technicians showed up and left that site. So it just, it's even more transparency for the clients of our clients.
Excellent. And I can tell you that happens a lot more often than we'd like it to. There's always somebody who wants to review it, but not only are you able to prove it, but look at this from the angle as a contractor, you're going to build so much trust with your client because they're going to know what you're charging them is exactly the time that you were there. And once if this happens once, and you can prove your case out to them, you've built up a huge amount of trust. Plus, also use it as a sales tool. Be able to go out when you bring your clients and say, look, we're going to charge you for what we do. We're not going to charge you for any more than we do. And we're going to be able to show you why, when we were there. So I think it has a lot of advantages to it. So next thing I want to jump into is the mystical mystery of the API integration. I've heard people say that it's super easy. I've heard people say, oh, it's super hard, it's expensive, it's inexpensive. This is all over, not only in our industry, but just one of those mysteries that no one completely understands. So, Brian, I'm going to give you a few moments on this to go ahead and take us out of that mystery and let us know what's going on with it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the buzzwords in the industry now. And it's tricky. So we've always had the ability to dump information out of Dataforma and into other systems. It's an Excel format, so like QuickBooks, Sage products, your accounting packages. And now that we've progressed this API where people want not just a push one way, but a push pull, right, of information. So they are definitely possible. I don't think they're as easy as people think because middleware has to be built, right? So with select programs, like we're about to release, here's a teaser for our clients, in a month or so, an integration with Outlook. So I can just pull email straight out of Outlook into Dataforma. But if you want an integration with a specific system, somebody has to write code to say, okay, out of Dataforma, grab X, and out into the other system, grab Y, and then what you want that to do. So absolutely, APIs can be done. We're releasing more and more of our system into APIs. I think we have 5 or 6 of our modules already open. So if you're interested, contact us and we'll tell you what is and isn't open. But it is a difficult situation because imagine if I tie it to whatever system and that system changes, doesn't update. Well, what you were tying to with your API, which again, you're paying somebody to write this code, well, that may have changed on their end. So now that API isn't functioning. So we're going to allow APIs to certain systems that we know everyone's going to use. And then we're going to allow contractors to write their own API codes. But just know it's not always simple as, hey, I just want an API. Changes need to be made, and there needs to be somebody that writes that third-party code in the middle.
No, that was a good explanation. Taking it from the other side of it, I think to clarify, not to clarify, but to add to what you just said, I think you absolutely correct. You know, a company like Dataforma and a lot of other larger software companies, they're going to have auto APIs to the most popular, widespread software that's out there. But as contractors, one thing we know is we don't always have, you know, the software like our accounting system, or you know, most contractors in some format do use Microsoft and Outlook. It's because it comes with the computers and it's there, and what's what we're trained to. But the important thing is you're not going to be able to have a readily, easily available API that fits every software that's out there. That is completely impossible or improbable. So, you know, I think from a contractor standpoint, if you have multiple softwares that you're using, you like what you're using, you've done, and you want to stay with it, that's a great place to be. Now, the miracle with the APIs, and I'll touch a little bit on what we're doing with you with Smartsheet. We're able to take and hook in with an API with you with Smartsheet to get your data out. But Smartsheet kind of becomes that centerpiece that goes out with the APIs to these different types of software, the accounting software, and it goes out to your CRM, and it goes out to the rest of your features. It can also go out and hook into if you have whatever your estimating software program. So you have the ability to use multiple, but with these APIs, you can then hook them in and get all your data into, like we happen to use Smartsheet and work with your clients and our clients with it. And you get all this information from multiple systems at one spot, one dashboard in front of you, in the view how you want it. And not only how you want it today, how you may want it in a month or so without rebuilding the APIs. So that's
Yep.
I know we're working real close and partnering with Dataforma on the API with Smartsheet, and so far it's working very, very well.
Yep, exactly.
So next up, we're going to talk about the use of multiple softwares out there. I think you kind of touched on this, Ryan. If you would, I'll kind of do a summation and jump in on that. So I think the biggest error or mistake that most contractors make is they want or expect one software to do every exact thing that they want. Now that would be great. I mean, I'd love that. I like to turn on my TV and not have to go through 300 channels and have it all in front of me, but it doesn't happen that way. And the problem with that is, from my viewpoint, looking at it as being a contractor, is what I want as an all-in-one is not what my friend over on here wants in a contracting business, an all-in-one, or the next 5,000 people. Everyone's all-in-one is different. So I don't think that's a realistic approach, nor do I think any software company should be expected to solve that for all. I like to see it like you're doing. Your software is very robust. It's full-fledged for what it does and services, and you do it very well. And that's where the important thing is for the contractor. And then we just touched on integration and automation through APIs, and there's other ways too that we work with. And then I think cloud-based. I think cloud-based it's the future's here on that. I think you're getting more softwares to go to cloud-based. So kind of touch on how Dataforma you see these things working.
Yeah, and I have two big points there. So like you said, no system does everything, right? We know that's what we want. And I can hear in my head my boss, Daryl, who created Dataforma, saying a million times, we are the most inclusive system. Like by far, we capture the most data. Like you said, we don't do everything. I don't know if we'll ever do estimating. There's other systems that are very good at estimating. So what if we can't replicate that or outperform that? It's not in our best interest to do that. So that's the thing. We think we're the most inclusive, but nothing has everything. And then the cloud base, and this is funny, I remember probably when I officially joined Dataforma, I think I was 21. And it was for the first few years, contractors were very scared of cloud-based systems. Like we were, this is way back in 2007, 2008. This is a long time ago. And I remember thinking a couple times, man, did I pick the wrong job? Well, at least I'm young, plenty of time to start over. But then, like you said, contractors have really caught up. Certain things like hurricanes that hit the East Coast, our contractors called us and said, man, it was amazing that, with Dataforma, we just moved a couple hundred miles inland. moved and changed our phones to that number wherever we were, and we could work just like we were at our office, even though we're hundreds of miles away. We didn't have to shut down. So now we're still going out and helping people right after the hurricane. And then the same thing when COVID hit. I think we have a couple testimonials on our website. We felt really proud that our contractors, everything was the same. Great, you guys don't have to come to the office because you can access all this info. There is a mobile app. So just the benefits that are provided by being cloud-based, and I'm pretty proud that we were on the forefront of that way back, in construction industry back in like 2006, 2007.
Yeah, and you're continually innovating with it as well. And like you say, most inclusive, which is excellent. Plus, you're always working on developing even more and more in the cloud base, and that is the most important thing for any contractor that's struck with disasters to be able to move on to that. So I think that's absolutely excellent. So a couple of the other things that, we really touched on a lot of this, productivity and collaboration. So, real-time reporting, you have data collection, automation, uploading capabilities, which is the cloud-based makes that simple, communication and tracking, you're definitely user-friendly in reporting. So let me just give you a quick overview of my view from the contractor side and working with this. I think you cover all these areas very well. I think the contractor gets the most out of all of these, but I don't want to talk about it from my experience in dealing with it. I want to kick it over. Anything you want to touch on these areas?
Yeah, I see this whole slide really as just our mobile app, So because I have this, productivity now means I want information from the field back to the office as fast as humanly possible, right? And we talked about it right at the beginning. If a job is going poorly, I don't want to know a week from now where it's too late to fix it, right? I should be seeing every day, hey, we're way over on hours, like what's going on? And I'm seeing pictures from my foreman. Or I don't want to wait a week or a month. That's one of the things I've seen the most selling Dataforma is when I start showing our service management, that owner or service manager will pull out a shoebox full of old service calls that haven't been billed for like 3 months. And they'll say, stop talking now, son. Just tell me what it costs. Because I got $50,000 in unbilled service calls because I get them back a week later. I got 100 photos. I don't know where they go. And I just don't have the time to sort through this. So the fact that, all this stuff can be done in the app now, I think is what, 2021 productivity looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gone from computers to doing everything on smartphones now for sure. Excellent point. So a couple other things on, data for efficiency. Again, I'm going to let you take on this one. What would you like to add on to this point of view here from your standpoint?
Yeah, and so I see this slide as moving from the field staff now to the office executive staff, because I have all this cumulative data, right? And my joke always is when I was 20 at the roofing company and I knew nothing about roofing whatsoever, but I could use a computer and we had the beta version of Dataforma. I could do a couple clicks and pull up a report for our staff saying like, hey, this client has spent $50,000 on repairs on this roof section this year. So somebody go sell a re-roof to them, because that's a lot of repairs in a year. But because we have all this data, one, we can use it, and two, like you said, use it as a sales tool, communicate it to your clients. So we have a client portal that our contractors can offer to their building owners. So we can build budgets based off of the cumulative data we have and historical data. And then our client can see those budgets, the building owners, and how much they've spent. So, and we can even do things, John, like so-and-so estimator does really well at these types of roof systems, but not so good on these types of jobs, because I can see John's bids on EPDM and the profit, right? So I can run some really in-depth reports and know, hey, he's a lot better at built up. For whatever reason, that's just, or maybe this crew doesn't put these, roofs on as fast as another crew. So that's what I see this being, really using the data. And again, we're just changing what staff is using Dataforma at this point.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that. I know, Brian, the other day we were showing you how product we have out there with the precog analytics, how we're able to take the data that you just talked about, the estimator, and you got your other side, your foreman and your production crew data and your salesman data. We're able to take the other historical data from a company, pull stuff out of your system as well, putting that all into our product of Precog. And the magic in that is just what you said. With that, we're able to take that to the next step. We're able to give you that preemptive look and say, okay, I've got this project coming through my filtering pipeline, and by running it through the historical data and what we've gotten out of there, we're able to tell you what is the estimator that should be estimating it before you even start it, what salesman should be paired up that has the highest success level with that type of project, and also what foreman and production managers best suited to handle that based upon all that historical data. It gives you a great match out. Now the nice other things in that too is, as an operational side, you take a look at that data and you've got a job coming in, and you know that foreman A is the one that should be on that because he's got a 95% success rate, but he's booked on another project. It gives you that opportunity to move your schedule around and match the best people with the best projects coming in. And that all leads to that magic word we all love, is profit. So I know we got a lot coming in the industry, and we get out to these shows here later this year. We'll be, you and I and your company together and Cotney will be able to show some of these demonstrations how it works. I know at IRE we're going to have some live demonstrations. I talked to Ingrid about that. We'd love to have you guys there with us to show that. I think the roofing industry is going to be very pleased with what they see.
Yeah, I agree. That's why we were excited to work with Cotney. I mean, it seems like the same type of contractor interested in Dataforma and your services, because it's the type of people like I really want to run as good of a business as possible. So it was an easy fit.
Yeah, we're excited to be partnered up with you all. So, now we're talking about our Affinity Partner Program. So, Brian, why don't you take a minute here to explain to your clientele and our clientele what they get here signing up through this Affinity Partnership with Dataforma.
Yeah, so we take $500 off our initial training fee. So just, money back right up front for the contractor. And then that client portal that I spoke of. So it's $1,800 per year. Let them use it for a year for free, so your clients can see all this data that you're accumulating for them, and then use that. I mean, the best thing I always say about the portal, this is my friend Mike Huntington from Indianapolis. He said, I sell property managers all the time because I go in and show them how great of a tool this is. And then he even admits half the time they don't even use it, but they like it so much that they start using us for service over other people.
Yep, that's a key. Well, that's great. That's that's a really good package there. So on our end, and this is for all your existing users as well, I mean, we're going to offer 15% off of all of our consulting services. We work in business services, training, risk management, and we also have exclusive access to all the different webinars that we do, and that includes some of the special ones we do even in the with the political front that we're involved in. So government affairs, you get it all. So I think this is a super strong partnership, and really looking forward to exciting things ahead.
Yeah, same here, John.
So that brings us down here to questions. I don't know if we have any additional questions or not. Let me check out here. We're getting towards the end. I think we actually answered a few of them as we went along. Brian, did you get any sent to you as we were going?
Nope, just my in-laws asking for a free hotel. That's all I got.
Well, I do have one that just popped up here. I'd like to get out real quick. This is important. We touched on it a little bit, but I'm a Dataforma user currently. This is the question. Can I pull my accounting software and estimating program into a dashboard with Smartsheet? Yes, absolutely you can. That's where Brian and I were alluding earlier about the API process. So what would happen is we'd be able to hook in with the API, which, by the way, we're working on. It's coming. But in the meantime, Dataforma has a way we get the information out and into Smartsheets now currently. A little more manual process than the API will be fully. But we're also able to do that with you on your accounting or your estimating software, anything you have. So yes, we can put it all in one dashboard in front of you. Ryan, one more question. This one came in for you. How do they reach out about getting a Dataforma demo?
Yeah, I mean, just right there, bcook@dataforma.com. You can go to dataforma.com. Everywhere you see, there's going to be a free demo link, and those come directly to myself and our owner. And then you can call that number as well. And if you hit extension 1, you'll come directly to me. If you hit 0, you'll go to the office. Yeah, and just like John said too, with that getting in the smart sheets, for the Dataforma users, any data we have, we can pull it out to an Excel file. So whatever you want to pull, you just let our staff know and we'll pull it out. So like John said, we can get that stuff in the smart sheets or whatever system you need.
Well, we got one more quick one. This one's for you. Is there a way to add a new entry in with the mobile app?
Yes, so you can create contacts, companies right now. I believe we're adding work orders soon. So there's always more stuff coming to the mobile app. And if you reach out to me directly afterwards, because we're doing a quarterly newsletter that you mentioned, Ingrid, she and I started 1.5 years ago. So I'll make sure that that user is on our quarterly newsletter. So you're getting, hey, here's what we released this quarter, and here's what we think is coming the next quarter or two.
Well, that's great. Good information. Well, I think we're up on our time, so I think it's good to wrap up. Brian, it was a pleasure having you on today. A great job. A lot of great information out there, and look forward to continuing to work with you guys. And I know you got a lot of stuff coming up throughout the year. You're going to be out there. You're going to be working with clients. You're going to be working with new clients. So we look forward to being a part of that. You got a lot of exciting things coming.
Yeah, thanks so much. And we're glad to be with Cotney.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And again, if you registered and you didn't have a chance to see this, it's going to be on replay. We look forward to all seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
All right. See you guys.